Welcome to the Salty Goddess Podcast. So glad you could make it to this corner of the multiverse. Today, we are spilling the tea. I'm Anne Margaret Perry, and it is time for you to subscribe, share, and follow. So, spilling the tea, what does it mean? Let me tell you what it means, okay? What it means is all of the teas you are responsible for on any given day, on every given day. I know y'all thought I was going to give you some low down, dirty information about people, but I'm going to give you a low down, dirty information about yourselves and where you should be if your goal is to truly empower yourselves, grow, be an adult, and meet those goals, set those plans, things of that nature. So, what are those T's I'm talking about? Authenticity, tenacity, integrity, accountability, clarity, responsibility, vulnerability, sovereignty, and honesty. You cannot move forward and be better than you were yesterday if you cannot take all of those salty truths, and make them part of what you are and who you are. If you're not authentic, your fakeness, everyone will see it. And they're not going to like it. I don't mean you have to be so real and authentic that you're rude, disrespectful, okay? I don't mean that. I mean truth. Truth without performance. Because performative truth is inauthentic. So that's not what I'm speaking about. I'm talking about you living your true self, not being some facade or some moniker or what others want you to be. Don't get this twisted with rules of decorum, respect. I don't mean that. I'm strictly talking about being authentically you and not just doing things to try to fit in. There are some things we're all required to do. You can't walk into the office and start, being disrespectful to people. That's not what I mean. But I will tell you, I may not like you, but I can work with you, and I will work with you despite not liking you. That's respect. That's decorum. That's you being an adult. I don't have to like you personally to get the job done. If you're a true team player, you can work with anyone. And it's that simple. And this is something that we all need to start learning how to do. I will tell you, if I don't like you personally, I'm not going to sit at a table and break bread with you. I will be polite. I will be respectful in the manner in which the job requires. But I will not make small talk. We will not be telling jokes, but I will get the job done. That is part of being an adult and understanding you will not like every single person in the room. There's a very good chance somebody drives a Ford. Just say, right? If that's the case, you may not like that individual. It doesn't mean you have to go to picnics with them. You don't need to invite them for Sunday dinner or Friday night dinner or Thursday night dinner. But you have to learn to work with people you do not like. And all of those passive-aggressive behaviors you've got, the dirty looks, the snarky comments, the under-your-breath statements that you make during meetings and things like that, those are all signs of immaturity. All the way around. Everyone on the team will pick up on that. They will feel the tension, etc. Don't do that stuff. Okay? I'm always amazed when I say, well, on a personal level, oh, if you're inviting such and such a friend, I'm not coming. Well, that's on you. You don't want to come? That is your choice. You're childish, but that's fine. I see it all the time. I hear about it all the time. Why are you such a child that you cannot go into a room full of people with someone that you don't like? What is wrong with you? Grow up. That is totally inauthentic behavior, and it is childish. Tenacity. Tenacity is another T. It's the audacity to keep going, even when life shows up in steel-toed boots and kicks your ass. Does it knock you down? Sure does. Do you need to get back up? You sure do. You still got to eat. You still need a roof over your head. You need to keep moving forward. Is it easy for me to say this? Have I been knocked down? I sure the hell have. Every single one of us has. You are not alone in this. You are not victimized by this. Get out of that hood. You don't belong in victimhood. This is not a place where you want to live. This is not a place where you want to reside. You don't want to build your legacy in victimhood. It's a sad place to be. Nobody belongs there long term. No one. Integrity. Doing the right thing. Even when there's no one around to clap for you, or if the audience is left early. Integrity is what you do when no one is looking, or when no one holds you accountable. Are you a person of integrity? Do you do the right thing? And just because everybody else on your team isn't doing the right thing, does it give you lease to not be a person of integrity? No, it does not. I will use this phrase again, this comment. If everybody else is jumping off the number 5 bridge over here, you going to go with them? No, you're not. Being a person of integrity is part of your character. Your character is what you do, not what you say. Not what you say, because words mean nothing if actions do not back them up. You can tell me all day long, I'm trying, and there is almost zero movement. And that behavior modification on your part, your actions do not level up with what you're saying. Therefore, it's a lie. Therefore, you're inauthentic. Therefore, you don't have integrity and you're not being honest. You're better off walking into that conversation and saying, you know what? This is something I'm not going to change. This is something I'm not going to budge on. Is this non-negotiable for you? Because if it is, maybe now is the time for us to part ways. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. You can say those things. If this is something that you don't ever want to work on and you don't ever want to change, and I'm talking about like interpersonal relationships and conflict here, then state that. Be authentic and be honest. And if the person that you're speaking to isn't ready to accept that and it's a non-negotiable, then they have options as well. Understand you are entitled to do whatever you like. You are also going to have to understand that there are consequences for whatever your actions may be. So be prepared. Be prepared for that individual to say, this is a non-negotiable. Therefore, this is where we part ways. That bank account I spoke about in one of the other episodes, you're closing that bank account. Or maybe you're turning it into a savings account and only deposits can be made. I don't know. It's up to you to decide. But understand, you may behave in any way, shape, or form you choose. The people around you can choose to also decide, this is not for me. I'm out. Gonna be like a fetus and head out. Nothing wrong with that. So do the right thing, even when there's no one watching. That's your character. Accountability. Accountability. That's also important. Owning your shit. No disclaimers, no excuses. Just looking in the mirror and owning it. You make a mistake? I did that. I got a story for y'all. One time, a while ago, I made a major error at my job. Once it was brought to my attention that I had made this error, I reached out to my direct supervisor. I took accountability. This was my fault. This is what I did. I have no excuse. I have some that I could give you, but it's not going to change the fact that I still made this mistake. I apologize. I will do my best to make sure this doesn't happen again. And this is my responsibility, not my team's responsibility. I am the most senior person. I did this. And then I said to my supervisor, let me know when you would like to meet so that we can further discuss this situation. This is my schedule. Well, 2 days later, I met with my supervisor. We had a meeting. In the meeting, my supervisor asked me, what were the reasons why this error occurred? And honestly, believe it or not, there were system errors. There were personal judgment errors. And we fleshed this out and had this discussion. And it was at that moment that my supervisor said to me, in the 30 years that I have been a boss, I have never had someone in my charge contact me to tell me they made a mistake before I figured it out or before someone else squealed on them or whatever the case may be. My supervisor, my boss said to me at that time, I don't even know what to say because I've never had this happen. And honestly, it's kind of refreshing. I appreciate your willingness to step forward and say, you made a mistake and you're responsible. Please don't let this fall onto my team's shoulders. It's on me. He goes, that is an amazing step for somebody to take. I'm totally blown away. And I said to him, 20 years ago, I probably could not have done that. 20 years ago, I would have laid out something that had gone wrong, that was out of my control, which is true. There was something, but I also failed to double check. So ultimately, that's still my responsibility. And then on the particular shift that I was working, I was exhausted. I should have called off sick because I was sick, but that's not an excuse. That's personal judgment error. And we talk about a culture of safety and all of these different things. We talk about human error, systemic error, errors in judgment, errors in knowledge, things of that nature. Believe it or not, that particular mistake that I made was a perfect storm. It was multiple things, system error, the whole 9 yards. But I didn't blame those things. I said, in retrospect, I failed to double check 2 or 3 things. And I came to work so extremely exhausted and unwell that this error occurred. And that ultimately, it all falls to me. Accountability is you growing up and realizing it is absolutely okay to make a mistake, to admit that you've made a mistake, and then come to your boss with a plan for how you won't make that mistake again, and then alter your behavior to fulfill that plan and that goal. Does this make you vulnerable? Could my boss have fired me right then? And he sure could have. He absolutely could have, but he didn't. Because it was at that point that he said, when you're able to be vulnerable, remember that's one of the T's, vulnerability, opening up your armor to grow, not weakness. Believe it or not, being vulnerable is not weakness. It's actually a strength that so many people do not have, but they're so busy protecting that fragile ego. Instead, that's not bravery. Bravery is realizing you have growth to still achieve, and each and every single one of us does. Each and every one of us does. And I will tell you, I've grown. I sure the hell have. But am I done growing? No, I'm not. And I also know that. There are more things I can learn. I can hone my skills, hone my self-reflection. I can look in that mirror and I can still see some fuzzy areas. There's places in here where I can absolutely improve. That vulnerability, that right there, that's real bravery. Because you are literally opening up and saying to someone else, hey, I got more I can improve on. Suggestions? Do you have a roadmap? Can I get step-by-step instructions like I'm a beginner? That would be nice. Could somebody print these out for me? That would make my life so easy. Truly, understand that. All right? So vulnerability is not weakness. It's actually strategic and it's brave. And there are a lot of us out there that could do much better with vulnerability. There was a time that I had an extremely fragile ego. I no longer have a fragile ego. My ego is as big as the multiverse, my friends. Trust me when I tell you. Because I am now confident in myself. And I know that improvement will come. It's necessary. And it makes me that much better. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still stuck in the thought that all of the things that you believe are all there is to know and there's no reason to change a damn thing about yourselves, this is not the podcast for you. So kindly just step off. I'm okay with that. But if you truly want to improve yourself, you want to get better, you want to do better, you want to be better, and you want to improve the relationships you have around you, both professional and personal, trust me when I tell you, this is the place for you. You are in the right place. Understand, there are days that I grow exponentially, and then there are days that I feel like I take a backward slip. I'm not perfect. And this is life. It's like a roller coaster, y'all. Highs and lows, right? Apexes and dips. We got them all. They're all there. We wouldn't be human if we didn't do those things. So, being authentically you, being tenacious enough to keep going, to be audacious enough to continue to pick up and move on, no matter what comes your way. Having integrity and always doing the right thing, and owning your shit, having accountability for what you've done and what you will do. Clarity. Trying to see your path clearly. Okay? Because fog is often fear laced with good PR. Trust me. Trust me. A lot of individuals aren't clear. They have no clarity. They tend to use manipulation tactics like passive-aggressive behavior, okay? You know, you ask somebody, hey, could you make sure that the office door is closed every time you leave and locked? And they never do it. They never acknowledge you and say, yes, I'll take care of that. Because to acknowledge and say, yes, they'll take care of it means they failed in their responsibilities. So they get the memo, but they never acknowledge receiving it. They never acknowledge they will comply, and then they just don't do. Passive-aggressive behavior, defiance disorder, and this is an individual who has stunted personal growth. Don't be like that. Don't do it. Nobody wants to work with people like that. You're not going to get anywhere either with them. Responsibility. Handling your business like the grown-ass bitch you ought to be. Not expecting everything to be handed to you. Or when someone does give you a hand up, instead of seeing it as an opportunity to improve, you see it as an entitlement, that you deserve that, and that you don't need to work at taking care of those things on your own. Don't be sucking on the teat for all eternity. Stand up on your feet. Take the tools others bring to you to assist you and really put them to work. And then share those tools with others so that they too can rise. Because really, we should be celebrating everybody else's rise. Because the more we all rise, the more everybody else does, and just everything all around you gets better, 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 better. Make sense? It should. Y'all should definitely be prepared. I have a feeling the Salty Goddess Bible is about to come out. And maybe the Salty Goddess Book of Grace, how to live gracefully. You know, like, don't chew with your mouth open, that kind of shit, right? Yeah. I see it coming. Another idea. We already talked about vulnerability and how important it is for growth. Because if you can't self-reflect and see that you have improvements that can be made, you will not work on improving those things. You won't. Sometimes you have to be vulnerable with yourself even, and honest. And sovereignty. What does that mean? I'm not talking about, the royal family, okay? Standing as the ruler of your own domain, okay? Power is non-negotiable in these terms. Absolutely non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. You need to own yourself in all that you do. You want to wear a crown? That you can do that if you like. Feel free. Whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter. But you need to hone in on how you own and you rule your own domain. How will you do that? And not back down from those non-negotiables. I'm a firm believer that everyone deserves a second chance. At the very least, a second chance. Some individuals deserve more. There will be days some of your relationships will require you to give some major grace. But there also comes a point in time when the disrespect is too much. The behavior others present to you of entitlement is too much. And that bank account is going to get closed faster than you can say, oh shit. Trust me when I tell you. And I don't mean that people should supplicate when you assist them. That's not at all what I mean. Not at all. There should be a certain level of appreciation. And I don't mean a thank you needs to come out of their mouth every time you see them. That's not at all what I mean. The appreciation comes in the value of their changed behaviors or in their behavior toward their windfall of assistance. Okay? I'm also not a believer in shoving it down people's throats or holding it over their heads that you've offered assistance or given assistance or mentorship or anything like that. You should never do that because that's not true, authentic assistance or giving. People that have to run around and talk about all the great things they do for other people, friends, that's exhausting. That's exhausting to me. Who's got time for that? Okay, I don't. I don't have time for that. And it just screams inauthenticity because you're looking for something in return. You want somebody else to clap you on the back. You want somebody else to, let's give this person an award. No, that's not why you do. That's not why you do. That award that you are seeking should be intrinsic. It should be enough here for you to do those things. You should not be looking for extrinsic validation or motivation. That's ridiculousness. And that's immaturity as well. So it's not part of being, authentic or being yourself. If you're always looking for someone else's approval, I've said this before. If you are not funding me, feeding me, or me, your opinion doesn't count. Your validation doesn't count. Plain and simple. Your motivation should be intrinsic. I do not need a single other person on this planet to tell me that your weight loss looks good on you. I don't need that to continue to maintain my weight as I've journeyed through weight gain, weight loss, weight gain, weight loss. No, I don't need it from someone else. I have enough intrinsic motivation. And if I never heard another person say to me, wow, what a great job, I would still stick to that discipline of maintaining my weight loss. Does that make sense? Now, will there be times that I'm going to gain a little weight? Sure. You best believe it. There is Pie Week in November, Pie Day in March, birthday. Anywhere there may be pie, there's an opportunity for me to gain 5 to 8 pounds. That's how much I love pie. All right? But when I step on that scale and I see that number go up, I start to dial back the excitement a little bit, get back on track. I speak to this because this is part of life. Ups, downs, successes, failures, successes, great success, small failures, things of that nature. You have to be able to weather that storm. And that is where tenacity comes into play. Realizing that each one of those dips on the roller coaster of life is not the end of the road. You have to have the audacity to believe in yourself and to keep going, even when life shows up and kicks your ass. Trust me, knocks you to the ground, might even knock you to the ground and then kick you while you're there. That can happen. It absolutely can happen. It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about whether or not you get back up and keep moving forward. It's not the end of the world. So, I did spill the tea today. Not the tea y'all thought I was going to spill, because you were sure you were going to get the lowdown on some wild crap going on down here in South Carolina. But no, the real tea in tea are authenticity, tenacity, honesty, integrity, accountability, clarity, responsibility, vulnerability, and sovereignty. And before I close today, I want to give you a little history lesson, because I love history and I love little nuggets of information that kind of put meaning to it. Do y'all know where spilling the tea came from? It came from the African American drag community. And it actually started back in the 1990s when someone mentioned that their tea was their truth. Their truth. And that is how this little saying came into our vernacular. So the next time you want to spill the tea, instead of talking shit about your coworker, your neighbor, your family, your friends, start talking about your truth and how important all these other T's are to being a grown-ass person in 2025. Let's lay off all the old stuff and start building ourselves in a new fashion. Till next time, my friends, I'll see you in this corner of my multiverse. I'm Anne Margaret Perry, and this, my friends, is the Salty Goddess Podcast. Share, subscribe, follow. You don't want to miss this. Happy Hump Day. See you next week.